Hello, in this video I'm going to be talking about therapy techniques for anxiety. I'm also going to be doing some stripping and showing you my banana. So let's get straight into this. What's all this about? Well, I made a video before about how gimmicky techniques for therapy don't work and how some people just get the wrong idea and they think, oh, this therapy works and that therapy doesn't work. Well, I'm going to give you a great example of how you need to think about this. So let's talk about this in terms of a different problem, an everyday problem people might have, so it makes more sense. And as I often do in my videos, I'm going to talk about plumbing. And now I'm not a plumber, I've got no history of plumbing, it's a great example of comparing that to therapy. So let's say that one day you find water dripping from the ceiling of a room in your home. The way you would fix that is you would go up above where the water is dripping and think, is there any more water dripping? Oh yeah, it's coming from above that. So you go up into the attic and you find that there is a pipe leaking. So you can do one or two things. You can fix it yourself by getting some tape, wrapping around pipe and kind of bodging it up, which is like doing therapy yourself through videos. Or you could call a plumber to come and fix it professionally, which is like going to a professional therapist. But that's how you fix the problem. You find what's causing the water to drip and then you work on that. But there is another way you could do it, and this is where my banana comes in. A bit of a mouldy banana, but I only bought it a few days ago. But yeah, anyway, what you don't do is this. You don't follow a gimmicky method. Let's say you go online and you look up, how do I fix a problem of water dripping through the ceiling? And you may get someone who says something like, hold a banana above your head. Now I want you to go walking around the house and find where that water's coming from. And you may go into the attic somehow while you're holding a banana over your head and you think, oh look, there's a pipe leaking. Wow, this works. Holding the banana above my head made me find the problem. Do you see what the issue is? It wasn't holding the banana above your head that did it. It was finding the problem. Now, if you don't get that, let me explain more. And this is where the stripping comes in. Because don't worry, a good therapist will start off by doing a lot of unnecessary things and then they will strip their therapy down. So what I did is when I first began this, it was quite clumsy. It used to take me maybe 5 to 10 hours to find out what the problem really was because I was doing lots of unnecessary things that I'd been trained to do. So I thought, I wonder what would happen if I just didn't do that. So I'd take out that one part and it still worked. And I think, oh, I'm going to take out that part and it still worked. This is what I mean when I say that therapy is like CDs and MP3s. Let me explain what this means. Back in the 1980s when CDs first came out, I think it was the late 80s, you could only really get about 10 to 15 audio tracks on a CD. So it was enough, but it was quite limited. Years later, someone found out that about 90% of the audio data on the CD wasn't even hearable by humans. You couldn't hear it because it was outside the range of human hearing. You know how humans can only hear a certain wavelength or whatever it is, a certain frequency, that's it. And anything outside that is just wasted. Like dogs can hear whistles that humans can't. So they said, okay, we're going to strip out all of the unnecessary stuff humans can't hear, and it reduced the size of the file by about 90%. So instead of only getting 10 to 15 tracks on a CD, you could now get about 100 to 120 or whatever it was, because you'd stripped out all of the unnecessary waste of space that you couldn't even hear, and you were left with what you could hear. So maybe it wasn't as good for dogs who wanted to listen to CDs, but for humans, it was great. Therapy is the same. You take what you do and you strip it down. So you find out that the banana isn't doing anything, and you get rid of the banana. You find out that all the close your eyes and you're feeling calm, and you're feeling so calm and relaxed, and you're walking through a field of candy. All that doesn't do anything. And if you're a therapist, I urge you and I challenge you, do your therapy without all that, and you'll be amazed when it still works. Because when you strip out all of the unnecessary guff from therapy, it's quicker, it's more direct, people get results better, and it's easier for you as a therapist because you're not having to do all these unnecessary things. Now you might ask me, why do I often talk about bananas and holding a banana above your head? Because that's the method I've heard. People have come to me and have said, my therapist told me you have to eat more bananas and it helps if you hold one over your head. Why? Because it's got some magic power. No, it hasn't. You strip out all the unnecessary stuff and you get to the truest form. You get to the stage like where I'm at now, where I virtually don't do anything. And I've had sessions, and there are people out there who will attest to this. We've come onto a call, because I work online, so we do a call online, and I have done virtually nothing. Now I am doing something, but if you were to watch me do a session, it seems like I'm doing nothing. And I'm sitting here on my phone and my lap like this, and I seem to do nothing, and I'm doing virtually nothing, but I am doing something. I'm doing the bare minimum. And people say, wow, this is incredible. You didn't do anything and it worked and the problem's gone. Because I've stripped my banana, if you'll excuse the expression. Some therapists never strip. They just stay the same because they think, this is what I must do. It's a bit like, imagine when I teach people to drive. If I taught someone, before you get in the car, you've got to walk around it clockwise 3 times or the engine won't start. Rubbish. When that person passes and they'll think, I'm going to do it without walking around the car 3 times. Oh, it still works. There are so many times in life when people believe these things. How do you know people who have got routines? Like, before they go for a job interview, they'll always wear the same tie or whatever, or they'll always touch something 3 times for good luck. It's just these kind of superstitions that people believe, and the same goes for therapy. And when you know how therapy really works, you can strip away most of that rubbish. So don't waste your time with these gimmicky methods, because very often you can take away much of what's done in therapy and it works. And that's why when people say, well, I did this kind of therapy and it worked. Yes, it may have worked, but you said it didn't work. Because what I mean is, it wasn't what you did that made it work. It wasn't holding the banana over your head that worked. It wasn't journaling every day that worked. It wasn't the moving your eyes left and right that worked. It wasn't the rubbing your arms that worked. It wasn't the going to bed at 7 minutes past 10. Yes, I've heard this, go to bed at 7 minutes past 10 every night, and it's a magical thing where the stars are aligned and it fixes your problems. Yeah, if you believe that. Anyway, so the point is, therapy is all about one thing, and that is simply finding what the real problem is. Forget the gimmicks. Forget the people who come in and think, oh, I fixed my problem because I held a banana over my head, so therefore I'm going to teach everyone to hold a banana over their head. That wasn't what did it. That wasn't it. You found what the problem really was. That's what fixes it. You found a leaking pipe. You fixed it. You found the thought in your head that had got mangled up over the years and had become driving anxiety. You don't just do these gimmicky methods like eat less sugar, do this, do that. I've heard hold your hands on the wheel instead of 10 to 2, do it at 1 there, 1 there, and that unlocks the power of your mind. Rubbish. These are people who are desperately throwing gimmicky unproven theories of things. What I go by is the stripped down MP3 of therapy. What changed? What caused your problem? What happened in your life? And it isn't always that simple. It can be a chain of events, but we strip it down to the bare minimum, and that's why you get results. Not like when I first began, I would do something and I'd waste. Like one example I'll give you is regression, and I won't go on for too long in this video, it will be quite long. People will often talk about doing regressions, and I'll say, okay, you've got to do a regression, you've got to go back to an earlier time in your life, and you've got to find the memory. And what they'll do is they'll tell you to, okay, sit down, close your eyes. They'll spend 20 minutes telling you to relax, scan down from the top of your head, down your eyes, down your nose. And yes, I've done this in my older videos because I didn't know any better at the time, and that's what people expect. People look for that stuff. So I'll say, okay, there you go. But then I educate them. That's the whole point. People often ask, why do you make videos that are like you say it doesn't work? Because that's what people look for. They find it, but then I educate them on, hey, you don't need all that. So close your eyes, scan down your body, blah, 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 blah. Half an hour later, I want you to imagine you're getting into a magic elevator and you're going back through the mists of time, and now you're 7 years old, and I want you to walk up to yourself and this massive long story, and about 40 minutes later, you finally get to the point where you find out what the childhood memory was that's causing you problem now. Do you know how I would have done that? I would have just said to them, when did this problem come into your life? How long did that take? What, 2-3 seconds? When did this problem come into your life? You don't need all the closing your eyes and going back in time and the magical woo-woo stuff. You don't need it. And I remember when I first learned this, and the person who taught me said, it takes a lot of nerve to just do it because you're so used to doing your methods of relaxation and techniques and talking about this lovely story where people are gradually going into hypnosis. And he said, I want you to have the nerve to just do it without the hypnosis induction, without the relaxing. Just do it. And he says, it takes a lot of nerve to do it. And I did it. And I did a complete regression, a 40-minute process I did in about 3 seconds. And it worked. Now, talking about stripping things down, I am aware of the sort of irony that yes, this video is going to be quite long. But I wanted to go into detail. I have to present things from different angles so people of different types understand it. So yes, I'm kind of rambling on a bit. That's the way I make my videos, but you can strip them down. But if I just come on and said, hey everyone, strip down your therapy, don't talk about bananas, it wouldn't make any sense. So you can only strip down so much. Yes, you do need to do something. You can't just sit there and do nothing. Although I have seen absolutely unbelievable therapists who are real experts who actually do literally nothing. And I've seen people hypnotised just by someone sitting there looking at them like this. And the person at the other end has just gone. How that works is for another video. This is going to be far too long. Anyway, but I hope you've got some value from that. And if you're looking at overcoming anxiety, you want to find a therapist such as myself who strips, if you'll excuse the expression. Watch these other videos of mine now for more help with therapy, anxiety and driving. And if you'd like to work with me one-to-one online from anywhere in the world, contact me through my website, firstdrive.com. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you again soon for more videos.